everyone, so today's video is my study abroad experience and advice. Funny story, I've already filmed this quite a while ago and I went to edit it the other day and I almost finished it and I deleted it all, so that's really fun. I thought I would come in here today and film this for you because I really enjoyed that video. I thought it was a really useful video and I thought it would have helped quite a lot of you, but I had a few people asking me about my study abroad experience and what tips I have, that kind of thing. So I wanted to come on here today and tell you guys about it. So I'm going to try and go through it in chronological order so it's kind of easy for you guys to follow where I'm going, because my last video was kind of here, there and everywhere. So I've decided what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to tell you guys about my experience first and then I'm going to give you my tips and advice afterwards. My experience was, I lived in America for 6 months total. So before I actually applied to uni, I knew that I wanted to live in America. I've known that I'd wanted to live in America for such a long time. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know when it was going to be. I didn't really know any of the logistics, but I just knew that I wanted to live in America. And then study abroad just seemed to be the most realistic way of bringing it to fruition. When I was going on my different open days and applying for different unis, I always had that in my mind that I wanted to do study abroad. So at all the different open days and on the curriculums, I always looked for their study abroad programs just to see if that particular uni did have a study abroad program and what it was like, what the benefits of it were, what you could actually do, where you could go, that kind of thing. And there was one uni in particular that caught my eye with their program and I really liked the look of it, and that was the one that I ended up going to, so that worked out well. It was 2013, the year that I started uni, September of 2013, and before I actually moved into my halls, we had to apply for our modules. Everyone had to do this, you just had to apply for your modules when you'd got your place and before you'd got to uni. I had to take a study abroad module in order to do study abroad. I know that at some unis you don't actually have to do a module for it, and I think my uni's actually got rid of it now, which is a bit annoying, but I had to do this study abroad module, so I applied for that after freshers had calmed down, because if you've been to an English uni, you know how crazy freshers is. So after the madness of freshers, the first couple of weeks had settled down and we were going to class and stuff, the process of the study abroad module was along the lines of researching which universities you're allowed to go to that do your course, because obviously I had to go to a uni that offered an international business and marketing course or similar modules, so that kind of narrowed down my search once I found out which unis offered that course or those particular modules. Then you had to apply for your top 3 choices and you had to write a massive essay about why you wanted to go to that uni. So I applied to UNCW, University of North Carolina, Wilmington, which is where I ended up going. I also applied for ODU, Old Dominion, and then I'm pretty sure I applied for Texas as well, one of the Texas ones. Ended up getting the place at Wilmington, and funny fact, Wilmington was the most applied to university from my group of study abroad peers, and there's only 3 of us girls that got on, and I think there was the most amount of people that got rejected from there, so I felt a bit special for getting on there. Once I found out that I had got a place in Wilmington, then the process started of, okay, I need to make sure that my logistics are well. So I applied for a visa and then I had to go down to London to the embassy and do my visa application and my visa interview. I had to sort out my accommodation and my food plan at the uni. In America you have to have a meal plan, or you have to have it for at least one of your years, I think. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but that's just what we were told. We were told that we had to have the meal plan, we couldn't do self-catered. So I applied for that, then I had to pay for it all, which was super fun. Whilst all of this was going on, I also had to maintain my grades. I had to keep on top of all of the other modules that I was doing at uni at that time, because you had to get a 65% average for your first year in order to be allowed to go to America, or you had to get that to go on study abroad. I guess it's so that, I don't know, so that you don't go if you failed your first year or something like that. So the next part of my time I spent planning things. I knew that I wanted to travel America at some point throughout my exchange, but I didn't know when I was going to do it. One of the girls that I lived with in first year, Hannah, she ended up going to BGSU, Ball Green State University up in Ohio. So we were both on the east side of America and we both knew that we wanted to travel, so we decided that we were going to travel together and we were going to do the West Coast. So whilst we were still doing all our grades and getting all of our modules up to the grade standard, we were also planning our trip. So we decided there were so many places that we wanted to go, but we decided that we absolutely had to get to San Francisco, LA and Vegas. Now we also ended up staying in Huntington Beach with one of my mum's friends, which was amazing because we did San Francisco for 4 days, LA for 4 days, Huntington Beach for 4 days and Vegas for 4 days, or 4 or 5 days each. I think we might have been in Vegas for 5 days, but we were travelling for around 3 weeks. And after San Francisco and LA, me and Hannah both really needed a bit of England. We were both feeling kind of overwhelmed at that point. And Sue, who we stayed with, Sue and Trevor, they're English because they used to live in England but then they moved across to America. So we stayed there, which was an absolute lifesaver. They were so generous to us and it was just so needed. And then we actually road tripped from Huntington Beach to Vegas with those two as well, which was the most fun. We planned all that and we'd got all that sorted and booked all our flights. Got around to the middle of July and I found out that I'd got the grades to go and that I was officially leaving on the 28th of July 2014 to move to America. And I still remember filming my video in my living room of I'm moving to America, and it just seems like so long ago, but it all just went by so quickly. But anyway, so it came round to the 28th and me and Hannah flew to San Francisco and wow, it was amazing. But when we first got there we were so jet lagged and we were just walking around Union Square and we were both just like, I need to go to bed, I can't do this anymore. So we ended up just going back to where we were staying and having just a really chilled day there, because I think we arrived in the afternoon. And then anyway, we did a bunch of amazing things in San Francisco. We met up with 2 of my subscribers, Jamie and David. I miss you guys so much if you're watching this. It was such a great day that we had with them. They luckily drove to San Fran to meet us. I think they drove 2 hours to meet us, and obviously they had their car, so they were able to drive around with us, which was an absolute lifesaver because San Francisco is a big place, but we saw some of the really amazing sights that I'd always wanted to see. The Golden Gate Bridge, we did Pier 39? Is it Pier 39 or Pier 34? No, Pier 39. And me and Jamie filmed a video together and it was just the best time ever. I wish that day could have gone on so much longer, but it was amazing. We also went to Alcatraz one day and just did some damn cool things, and it just made me fall in love with America all over again, because the last time I went to America I was 14 and I went to Florida with my dad, and before that I'd been to Canada and America with my family. So this was kind of a new time for me to experience it because I'm older now and I'm more mature, and it was just amazing. Flew down from San Francisco to LA and did some amazing things in LA again. I vlogged it all, so you guys can go and watch the vlogs if you want to see what I did instead of me boring you and telling you what I did on here. But I also met up with Style Hall, that was cool, went to their offices. We went to Runyon Canyon and the Hollywood Sign, the Walk of Fame, loads of cool things. Then after that, Trev came and, Trev, bless him, Trev was so lovely. He drove up to LA from where he works, and then picked us up and drove back down to where him and Sue live in Huntington Beach, and they're just so generous, and I wish I could go back there more than anything. It was so nice. And Sue made me shepherd's pie, which is one of my favourite meals, and obviously you guys don't have that in America, and it was so nice to have a bit of England again and a bit of home. And Sue's like my surrogate mum, she was so lovely. And then we spent a few days there, and then we went across to Vegas. Wow! Vegas is amazing, although I was 19 at the time, so we didn't get to experience the full Vegas atmosphere, but I'm definitely going back there when I'm 21. But that was awesome. It was so hot though, because we were there at the beginning of August. It was 43 degrees, 44 degrees. I felt like I was in an oven. Like, have you guys ever watched Chicken Run when they put the chickens in the oven? That's exactly how I felt when I was outside. It was the weirdest thing. It was so hot. And then we flew from Vegas over to Wilmington, North Carolina. And Wilmington has the tiniest airport in the history of the world. It was so funny to go from massive Vegas airport to Wilmington. And then we stayed in an Airbnb in Wilmington. We got there we got there late morning, and then we decided, I think this was the bad idea, we decided to go into town straight away. And when I'd got into town, I was so jet lagged. Both me and Hannah were really jet lagged, we were really tired, and this was the first time that it kind of hit me that I was there for the long run. And if I'm perfectly honest, I didn't really like the look of Wilmington when I first got there, and I thought I'd made a bit of a mistake, and I just felt really overwhelmed. And I remember I was stood in a gift shop and I was looking at postcards and I just started crying. And it's so silly looking back at it now, but I felt really overwhelmed and I missed my family so much. At that point I would have given anything to have a hug from my mum and dad, and I don't know, I just was so overwhelmed. So anyway, Hannah was exactly the same as me. We both really overwhelmed. So we decided just to get a taxi back to where we were staying and just chilled the rest of the day. And then after we had a good sleep, I felt so much better, and it was just the tiredness and the jet lag kicking in. And then we had a few days exploring Wilmington because Hannah was obsessed with One Tree Hill. Did kind of walking tours and went to all the One Tree Hill spots because that's where One Tree Hill was filmed. And then after that, Hannah flew up to Ohio and I got picked up by my student mentor and moved into my accommodation. I lived with two of the most amazing girls I have ever met, and who I'm actually going to see on Friday. I am going to South Africa to meet La and stay with La for 3 weeks. Lara from South Africa and Rachel from Australia, who are two of my best friends, and we shared so many amazing things together. And the thing about study abroad is that you're all a long way from home, so you kind of become your own family away from home, which was so nice to have that because we all got on so well and I just loved them both so much, and I wouldn't change that for the world. We lived in an apartment, and then obviously the first few days we just kind of had our induction to the campus and kind of met the other internationals, had a few kind of icebreaker games and that sort of thing. I think we just started classes really. Yeah, I mean I was going on study abroad at a uni, so I did have to go to class and stuff and maintain a good grade because it counts towards my degree. But the thing that we made sure we were doing is that we always made sure that we were doing things at the weekends and that we were making the most of everything. I went to New York twice, we went to a place called Southport, which is where they filmed Safe Haven. We went downtown loads, we went for nights out. I went to UNC Chapel Hill for a football game. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with American football. I love American football. I wish I could have gone to more games. The atmosphere was amazing. I would love to go back there. And then we also went to Chapel Hill for Halloween. Me, Rachel, Josh, Matt and Carla went to Chapel Hill for Halloween. That is so cool. If any of you guys can ever make it to Chapel Hill for Halloween, it's so cool. They go on this big street called Franklin Street and they shut it all down, the police shut it all off, and everyone just sort of like walks down it in a massive parade, and then you can go in and out of all the frat houses, and I love that kind of thing. I thought that was awesome. If I'd been there for longer, I would definitely have tried to join a sorority, I think, because it looked really cool. We just did some awesome things. I learned to surf, and yeah, it was just amazing. My mum and dad also came to visit me, which was so helpful. They came about 3 months in and about 3 months before I left. So they came pretty much the halfway mark, which was so good because I really needed to see them. And we went up to the Outer Banks and had a few days there. It was lovely. They were there for a total of 10 days. And it's kind of sad because I wasn't able to spend every single day with them, or all of every single day with them, because I obviously had a class, but I tried to see them a part of every day if I could. But yeah, we did some cool things there as well, and it was really good to see them, and it was really cool to show them the uni and say, look, this is why I'm going to class, this is what I'm doing here, and it was just really nice to be able to share that experience with them. And then it got to the time to leave, which was so sad. I left on the 19th of December. I went to New York for a trip with the business school, which was really cool. We went to visit loads of big marketing companies, which was amazing. I love New York. I'm gonna get back there as soon as I can. But yeah, so I flew from New York back home. It was sad. I sat and ate sushi by myself in the airport in JFK, and Rixton were performing they did a free concert in the terminal, so I was sat eating my sushi and I was really sad, and then I was watching Rixton, and it was just sad because I didn't want to leave. I mean, I wanted to get home because I wanted to see my family and friends and stuff, but I wanted to stay because I feel like it just went by so quickly. That's pretty much it for my actual experience, I think. So now I'm going to give you guys my tips, because there is definitely things that I learned there that I kind of wish I'd known before I'd gone. So hopefully if any of you guys are thinking about study abroad or any kind of moving cross countries for any period of time, this can help you. Tip number 1, organisation. Organisation is absolutely key to making your study abroad process less stressful and easier. You don't want to leave anything to the last minute, because obviously I had to keep my grades up, but I also had to organise things for America. I had to have my visa application sorted, I have to send off for lots of different things, and if you're not organised, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and forget about things to do, and there's a lot of deadlines that you have to keep on track of. You have to keep up with all your university work to make sure that you get, or I had to make sure that you get the grades, but you also have to be organising things over in America. So organisation is so important, and it does make you feel a lot less stressed if you're not having to rush around or worry about, oh, I've not done this, I've not done this. Yeah, organisation is key. Second thing, budget. Study abroad is an expensive experience. Luckily, my parents were able to help me out, which I'm so thankful for, and we also have student loans, which are very useful. But it really does help you to look for budget accommodation, budget flights, vouchers, that kind of thing. We used Airbnb, which was better value than a normal hotel would have been in Wilmington. We also used cheaper hotels and made sure that we got the best deal on flights, and make sure that you choose the right meal plan that's going to suit all your needs, but is not going to leave you with loads of excess food that you're not going to end up using. That happened to quite a few people. They chose a meal plan that didn't really suit them well, and they ended up losing money basically because they didn't eat as much food as they paid for. Okay, the next thing is really important. You have to stay positive. There are definitely a couple of times when I was feeling pretty down, like when I first got to Wilmington, and sort of halfway through the process it was kind of really getting to me, and I just kind of wanted to go home, and I wanted to see my family and be able to be with them and see my friends, and I wasn't able to do that obviously. And if you let yourself get into a negative mindset, it's very easy to kind of spiral downhill. So you really need to make sure that you stay positive and just know that you're on such an amazing experience, and that it's something that a lot of people aren't able to do, whether it's because of financial reasons or because they haven't got the confidence to do it. Just know that you're doing something amazing and something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, and the last thing that you want to do is regret not doing things whilst you're there, or regret kind of just staying in your room and trying to block people out. Just stay positive and stay appreciative of the experience, because it is an amazing experience. Something that can help with the whole homesickness thing, because when I went to uni in my first year, I really struggled with homesickness when I first got there. I didn't really struggle with homesickness much when I was in America, apart from those couple of times. But staying busy is so helpful. If you're staying busy and you're constantly doing things, you don't have the time to think about being homesick, and that really, really does work. So keep busy. That's like I said, I was doing something every weekend. We were always going out new places, adventuring, seeing new things, and that really does help to keep your mind off being homesick. But if you do struggle with homesickness, and everyone does have their times of going through it, technology is so useful. We're so lucky to live in the age of Skype and iMessage and Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp. Talk to your family wherever they are for virtually nothing if you have that technology. I Skyped my family a lot whilst I was there, and that was really useful, and I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't get homesick, was because being able to see them at home just really, really helped me. So that's another thing I'd recommend. Don't be on it all the time so that you're missing out on things that are happening around you in America or on study abroad. Make the most of it when you are having those times where you think, oh, I really need to talk to my mum or my boyfriend or my partner or whatever. The next thing is say yes. I cannot stress this enough. Saying yes to opportunities that you're given will help you so much. I went on the business school marketing trip and I applied for that by myself, and I've never really done that before. I've always sort of had someone to do these activities with, so it just meant that luckily I was able to drive up with some cool people. Maria, she was so hospitable to me. We stayed with her grandma in Staten Island. Yeah, Staten Island, and they were just so generous, so hospitable, and I really will remember that. She was just so lovely. But I did initially apply for that by myself, and normally I would be too scared, nervous, anxious to do that, but you just have to say yes to these opportunities. Just try it. I had the best time ever there, and I made friends with people who I wouldn't necessarily have made friends with if I hadn't taken that opportunity. So it really is worth it to just say yes and just go with the opportunities. Even if you are slightly nervous, you never know the amazing things that can happen if you don't say yes and you don't agree to just try these things. If I look back on where I was 3 years ago at school and how nervous I was about going out and leaving the house and seeing people that I was scared to see, looking at myself now, I have so much to thank study abroad for, because it really did help me so much to break out of my shell, make the most of everything. But you just have to say yes. You just have to say yes. And last but not least, appreciate it. I appreciated, and I don't exaggerate, every single day I woke up, apart from the days when I was slightly hungover, I appreciated everything that I had there, because it was such an amazing opportunity, and I knew that it wasn't there forever. I knew that I wasn't going to be living in America forever. I knew it was only finite. I was just constantly appreciating things. I mean, I would go for walks around the campus and just take in my surroundings and just think, wow, what an amazing thing I'm doing. But whilst I was there, I just knew that it was going to end so soon, and that's the thing that everyone says, is that study abroad goes by like this. I can't believe that it's been a year. So you just have to remember to appreciate everything that you have. And I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about my study abroad experience. It was hands down the best 6 months of my life. It was just phenomenal, and I loved it so much, and I fell in love with America, and the people that I met were amazing, and I've really got some lifelong friends from it. I just met up with Lisa in Mallorca. I'm going to see Lara. Hopefully Rachel's coming to England next year, and none of that would have happened if I hadn't gone on study abroad. So even if you're not watching this because you're going on study abroad, if you're watching this because if you're watching this just because it's maybe slightly entertaining or it's just one of my videos, I really hope that it's helped you understand how important saying yes to opportunities are. If I'd never decided to take that study abroad module in first year, then I would be in a completely different space right now. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed seeing my study abroad experience. I hope the tips helped you. If you've been on study abroad, please tell me all about it, because I just want to live vicariously through your memories. If you're about to go on study abroad, I'm so jealous of you. Have an amazing time. And like I said, if you're looking at this just as one of my videos, learn to say yes. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Just appreciate life and appreciate everything you have. I know that I appreciate a lot of things a lot more after study abroad. Not to say that I didn't appreciate them before, but it does really make you think. And I think that's about everything that I have to say. I'm going to stop talking now before my throat completely closes up. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any video requests, leave them down below, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye!